Hello students, today we're going to learn about building logic diagrams. Whether or not you are from Africa, Europe, the Americas, or Asia, almost every country has this adage, these words of wisdom about the starvation problem. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. If we were to do a logic diagram for these words of wisdom for the starvation problem, we would start with the symptoms. People are starving. The defects are clearly not a food to eat. The flaws are individuals do not know how to fish. And the quick fix is give them the fish to feed them for one day. But we all know that's not the optimal. As policy makers, we really want to make sure our thinking is more sustainable. So we do want to teach the individual how to fish. Now, what if the problem is bigger? What if we're looking at the supply of fish and it's declining? What I want you all to do as policymakers is to think about the determinants of the problem. So let's tackle a bigger problem. The river water quality is deteriorating. And what are all the contributing factors? It could be high levels of solid waste being dumped into the river, many households and factories discharging wastewater directly into the river, and wastewater treatment plants are not meeting environmental standards. Now, what are the effects of river water deteriorating? Well, there are three major ones. One is health conditions, and we're finding that when the river water deteriorates, that it creates more waterborne illnesses, and it is particularly harmful to poor families and children under 5. The river ecosystem and fish stock also decline, and that obviously has a relationship in terms of fishing families' income. So when you lay out your logic diagram, you can use words to show these interrelationships. The next question is, what are the causes? Now, we could group the major causes in these major categories, starting with poor water quality controls and compliance. And when we look into it, we find out the Environmental Protection Agency is not aligned with what the industry conditions are, and the polluters are not controlled. We also understand that the stakeholders are not fully aware, that there's not any educational program to tell them how to behave differently. Inadequate regulations also are a low priority among the politicians, followed by an incomplete sewage network. Only 40% of the households and 20% of the businesses are actually connected to sewers, which we can actually then see is a result of inadequate capital outlay to invest in building a sewage network. And then finally, poor local government planning contributes to the fact that the wastewater treatment plants do not meet environmental standards. So taken together, you get a complete logic map that analyzes the problem of river water quality deteriorating. And you'll see upper areas are the effects and the lower areas are the causes. Now, when you want to take your problem analysis and move to solutions, we begin to inverse it. So instead of saying river water quality is declining, our solution is to improve the river quality. And we can actually then develop smart objectives and have them be measurable. The quantity of solid waste dumped into the river is reduced. The number of households and factories discharging wastewater directly into the river is reduced. And finally, 100% of the wastewater treatment plants are in compliance with environmental standards. From there, we can look at what are the key things we need to do to improve the situation. Well, one is to improve water quality controls and compliance by strengthening the EPA. Stakeholder awareness. Launch public information education programs so that the users, the residents, stop dumping wastewater into the rivers. We can improve our regulations. We can establish a higher priority among the politicians to address this issue. We can also increase the percent of households and businesses connected to the sewer system, and that is going to require political willingness and will to invest and increase the capital investment in this area. And then finally, we can improve local government planning. And that involves greater cost recovery mechanisms. So taken together, we have our construct now of our recommendations with the details underneath them. Now, this gives you the entire logic diagram in terms of your solutions. telling you what you need to do at the bottom, the objectives and metrics to measure progress, addressing the goal for river water quality, and what the outcomes would be. So the nice thing about this particular example is we would be helping not only a single fisherman to feed himself for an ongoing basis, but hopefully a whole economy. So think about the logic diagram solutions as you go forward, starting with your recommendations, what will be the SMART objectives and metrics that will be achieved to reach your goal, and what will be the greater societal, economic, health and well-being, and environmental benefits. Thank you.